Hello. So this thing works. I must admit that's the first time for me to talk about that topic, to tell you that story, to do that everything I do now. So I'm very much looking forward to share some thoughts with you. You see that topic, digital identity, and let me see if this works. And not this. And there's something that brought me here. Herbert already mentioned it. This is my son attending his first coding camp at Stanford University in 2013. And I'm very happy he's here, by the way. And he wanted to learn how to code when he saw that thing here for the first time and used to play all these apps. And he was like, how can I program this? And there was no place here in Germany where to go. And lucky me, I met someone from Silicon Valley and happened to be the co-founder of LinkedIn, Konstantin Gericke, the German guy. And he was like, bring him to Stanford. There are summer classes and he can learn how to code. So that's what we did in 2013 for the first time. And we fell in love with the Bay Area and all these people there, the mindset and everything. And then I recognized that there is a strong connection to Germany, because as you see in the Stanford logo, there is an unofficial motto, Die Luft der Freiheit weht, which means the wind of freedom blows. So, which means education has to be important, has to be based on values, and not just focused on using technologies. And I was deeply impressed, and as you can see here, just some impressions of several years, several trips to Silicon Valley. One time we brought a robot. I saw Chris somewhere here from the team from Huawei. And so, yeah, I started building a bridge between Germany and Silicon Valley in order to bring the Silicon Valley mindset and also tool set, understanding how they think about innovation here to Germany. And yeah, you can see some pictures like Joey Ito and Reid Hoffman talking about autonomous driving. I think that was in 2014 or something like that. They were discussing all these questions we are thinking about today. So what kind of decision will be made in an autonomous car, and who's more important, the young lady, the kid, or the old lady? So all these things, they already talked about that long time ago. And so yeah, it's really, to me, very important to be there from time to time. I'm going to be there next week again, and still trying to, yeah, learn. And I don't know if someone here is here who saw that video of Tim Cook 2 weeks ago at Stanford University, 14 years after Steve Jobs gave that commencement speech on, yeah, digital revolution. And I want to share that video with you. So we made a short clip out of the main messages that we see, and I'd like to have you listen to Tim telling you.
Our problems in technology, in politics, wherever, are human problems. From the Garden of Eden to today, it's our humanity that got us into this mess, and it's our humanity that's going to have to get us out. First things first, here's a plain fact. Silicon Valley is responsible for some of the most revolutionary inventions in modern history. But lately, it seems, this industry is becoming better known for a less noble innovation. The belief that you can claim credit without accepting responsibility. It feels a bit crazy that anyone should have to say this. But if you've built a chaos factory, you can't dodge responsibility for the chaos. Taking responsibility means having the courage to think things through. And there are few areas where this is more important than privacy. If we accept as normal and unavoidable that everything in our lives can be aggregated, sold, or even leaked in the event of a hack, then we lose so much more than data. We lose the freedom to be human.
Well, everyone is quiet because this is really something going on. We are like unbalanced. The digital revolution is just focused on technological solutions, but we are not reflecting anymore. It's about using all these technologies to build the next big unicorn. It's, from my point of view, and of course there are others who think the same way, we should reflect and do something and maybe put on the other side of that thing the digital responsibility we all have with us by using all these technologies and by thinking about solutions and by taking care of us. And this is why we say move over Silicon Valley. We want to build a value-based digital economy and want to have that balance out of digital revolution and digital responsibility, and want to think about that here, right here in Europe, and want to build a bridge again, the other way around. Therefore, we created some theses, some principles, and I think you all agree that all interaction requires trust. So if I don't trust you, I won't give you my phone or something. But if I have a good feeling, or if I know a bit about you and who you are, then it's much easier to interact. Next step is that trust in a digital world, also here in an analog world, is based on secure and verified identities. So this is where the tech nerds now are getting a heartbeat. I won't go into technical solutions, but this is something we have to work on, and we may have to start with thinking about that and not with thinking about building things. And if you think about trust in a digital world, of course, one of the most impressive example is consulting a doctor online. You want to know if it's real a doctor, or is it a bot, or is it, I don't know, fake Trump, someone who isn't able to help you. And this is, for us, something we were really thinking about for a while now, and we are very sure that if we think about identities, not just for humans, but also for machines, if you explain the digital world to people who haven't been interacting with that, as being humans, having an identity, having experiences, memories with you, and a kind of a transparency, you're explainable to me, why don't we apply these principles to machines as well? So easy, and then you can understand, okay, it's an autonomous car, and there are some sensors in there, and they decide something. Why do they do that? And who coded that? Who's behind? And if we implement these into, European-based companies, that might be an advantage. And it's nothing new that we think about human beings and human rights. So in the 18th century, already Immanuel Kant stated in the philosophy of freedom that it's our right to have our identity with us. And this is why we think we should act now, and we can build something new together as the Identity Valley, how we call our initiative. As you can read there, we think that identity is the new silicon, and Europe, the valley where this journey of change starts. And together with Silicon Valley, but changing the focus and reflecting, like Tim Cook said, it's time to reflect. If you think about that motto again, then now there's a number up there. It's 1519, when Ulrich von Hutten stated that quote. And it's a German poet who said that when Luther was prosecuted. And he was like, no, the wind of freedom blows. We are in this here, and we have to take care. And the first dean of Stanford University, and also the founder of Stanford University, liked that quote so much that they put that onto their logo. And I think it's on us to really take care of that again, so that wind isn't blowing. And we should change that. And this is why we created the Identity Valley Initiative, where we say it's all about trust. And we are a European-based, Munich-based, non-profit organization just getting started. and we have some strong supporters with us. And yeah, we would love to invite you all to support us, to share that story with us, to think about that, to help, especially from my point of view as an executive consultant, to help people who haven't been into digital transformation yet, to understand that there might be a chance how we can act differently than China and the US and still be a very strong European nation. And therefore, the last sentence, our statement is, identity is a human right for man and machine, and we are happy to discuss that with you and to get all this discussion started. So this is exactly what we want to do, bring together people thinking about that approach. And we already have partners from science, governmental institutions, and also, of course, industry. And if you want to be part of that, or if you want to put that discussion onto stages like the 1E9, we're very, very happy to discuss that with you. Thank you. Any questions? Ich weiß nicht, ob hier, ja.
So I think everybody is agreeing that managing digital identity is important.
Yeah.
If people come to you or join that organization, what exactly will happen? Are you selling a service, or are you doing consulting, or do you have a product, or what will happen?
Yeah. I wanted to share the why before. I was hoping for that question. And yeah, of course, so initially we are a non-profit organization who wants to address that topic, because there is a problem. We don't have any politician where we can go to and who can say these things authentically, because there's no one understanding that and seeing that. We already are talking to some ministries, and they understand that, but if we wait for that, we have the same thing like today in the very first discussion with Professor Breu. We are too slow, so we have to act. And this is what we decided, to just do that and to share these thoughts. And this is the core of the Identity Valley. But probably all of you know the Applied AI initiative at Unternehmertum here in Munich. And like they bring together startups and corporates, focus on use cases, doing things together, and yeah, working on pilot projects and then scaling them up. This is what we want to do with the ID, with the topic of ID, and this is why we are currently talking to some initiatives like that. Applied AI, for example, will be partnering with us, and makes sense to bring also, I think Jörg from the KI Bundesverband is here, so we want to bring together all these startups. There are so many focused, of course, on AI, because that's the big buzzword right now, and that is where the money is going. But we think narrowing that a bit down to identity solutions might make sense, especially as we have some friends of mine here who really know about the European or the global market on identity solutions. And right now we are very right in the front of the market with German and European solutions, and nobody knows. So we better come together and create like a landscape of ID solutions, for example, and bring people together, yeah, in order to showcase what we can do. And also, we are, of course, thinking about all these. I talked about the Silicon Valley mindset and toolset. And if you think about design thinking, everyone is thinking about design thinking. It's working with that approach. Why not use identity thinking? Start with just one attribute you need to get a service address to someone. Right now, everyone is like, we need lots of data, and then we do something. And yeah, we want to change all these perspectives. And for example, like the like mobile first, it could be identity first. So to just change how you start with creating innovations. That's what we want to do.
Thank you very much.
I think there's a mic.
Thank you. Thank you. First, thank you very much for this impressive presentation.
when I read identity is a human right.
Yes.
A human right is obliging state organizations. And so, for instance, the right of property right or the right of equality between men and women. And this is normally addressed to the state. So Bundesrepublik, for instance, and we have our constitution.
Yes.
And if this human right is violated, we take this step up to the Karlsruhe to get it right. And when I see now identity is a human right, can you elaborate a little bit on your thinking, whether you want to oblige the general public or the industry, the digital industry, as like an ethical, an ethical obligation, or is it more addressed to state organizations? So the state is obliged to create a mainframe where digital identity is guaranteed. So that was my question. Sorry, it was too long.
No. Thank you for that question. I really appreciate it. Well, of course, we were discussing if we shall put it like this, and we think we need a strong statement to wake up decision makers, politicians, whoever you think who can work on that. And as you look back, so the human rights have been declared in 1948. It's not that long ago. And life changed since then, so we have humans and artificial resources working together. And thinking about that, thinking about solutions to take care of humans who work together with machines, and by securing both of them and bringing transparency into that, might be a human right. And this is why we state it like that. But we don't know yet how to really solve that, to get that into regulations. We want to wake up, and we want to discuss that. Yeah, please. More than welcome.
So I have a question. I'm Hansi over here. Kingdom 1, so actually there is an existing system for machines, TCP/IP, working kind of good to authenticate computers and smartphones and so on. And we applied it with Freedentity to TCP/ID, so that you have the same protocol with a Freedentity that you can use worldwide. We used this now for an event. We had just had a pitch for the Oktoberfest. Actually, a lot of people coming together. You perhaps can integrate the mobile payment system, and also on other festivals where you need the identity of someone, if he's old enough to drink alcohol, if he's old enough to drive a car, and so on. So we do this on this kind of scale. Where else do you think can a user get an Freedentity or an other identity than from his state? So do you see other things? The church, perhaps, so being the biggest organization on planet, that you already have a Taufschein or something like this?
Well, so this is the core where our ID comes from. Of course, this is something, so as you already said, machines have that IP address, something like that, but it's getting more and more complex, and to be honest, I would hand over to my nerds that question, because this is exactly how we really can manage that. I think we need to discuss that, and it sounds like you have created already a very good solution, and also here's a team working on age verification in the UK right now, and there are solutions, but we don't know about that, and we want help you. We want to help you to get that out there, to make people aware, decision makers, creators, innovators, that there are solutions and that we can think differently about creating products and services. Because of course, if you think about a production line within, I don't know, BMW factory, for example, right now they buy machines and they are there, and then they do something with that. And as soon as this is going to be a subscription model to something that the machine just does something and you pay for that service, then you have to really make sure that you know which machine is interacting with what. And this is getting complex. And by thinking about that, starting creating services like that from another point of perspective is something we think should start right here in Europe now. I think there are some more.
Thank you. There's the topic of identity is not really brand new, right? And it's you have telecom. I think at the Telekom Netzausweis 15 years ago, Facebook ID. People are working with all these kinds of IDs. Even actually, we have a digital identity in Germany. That's the Personalausweis, which is digital. And so my question here is. What I have always been missing is coming from the user-centric perspective. So the usability is always shit. From the technology perspective, there was a talk earlier today with T-Labs and ID. They're providing a blockchain-based solution of using the ID of customers and of big companies. So what is your approach to start with the identity as a human right? That's like this is what your Forderung is, right? But what is your first approach so people will jump on that train?
Well, you know, probably everyone here knows about solutions like VeryMe, where you think about having bringing big companies together and trying to get something like the Apple ID done out of Europe. It's complex and it's complicated because companies don't want to share their data. So we want to bring back that data points to the persons where it belongs to and make that transparent. And as simple as that. So bringing back your data to you. And I didn't say that word data very much because this is exactly what I think part of the problem, because we all think about data. And if you go to for example, an AI summit, which is Petra from the Euroforum Handelsblatt doing, if you ask people how many here are gathering data and know about their AI solutions they may implement into their companies, then there are like 2 fingers coming up out of 500 executives here in Germany. So people don't understand what is that AI, data scientist. You won't get that people, so you don't understand that. And this is why we want to focus on the identity and want to change that mindset. And bring this to the forefront of your thinking and then start with just that and then develop things. And of course, there are some solutions and it might make sense to bring them together on a platform where you can clearly see what belongs to you and what doesn't belong to you, or where some big tech companies are already having what kind of data. And in that kind of saying it's not data, it's an identity attribute out of your personal life. And this is yours.
Yeah, I have a question about the man and machine part, because I'm totally with you. For the identity, it's a human right thing. But how does it translate to machines? Because, for example, if I donate a kidney to another person, I keep my identity and he keeps his identity. But I can copy a server, also software running on a server, to another server, and I can give him the new IP address. And then what does identity mean? Will it be a new identity even though it runs the exact same software? Or is identity coupled to the hardware? So
So first of all, identity, even for humans, isn't exactly something. Ask a philosopher. Ask everyone here. So you define your identity very much different than someone else or someone who knows you. And I think the same thing is with machines. So it depends. And we have to have a look on where are solutions and where can we make sure that this identity of that car, for example, with several smaller identities who are working together to decide on what we saw before, why the car is driving in which direction. If this is explainable, transparent, then and if you think about that car, an autonomous car, or even everyone here probably talks to his Roomba, and for us, that's something that lives with us. So we already do that, and then if we think about the idea of giving them an identity, be it in smaller parts or be it a bigger component of everything, we have to define and think about that. And as Tim Cook said, we have to think things through and then we can apply them. This is what we want to do.